Yep, there it is. Called it. All right, so let's talk a little bit of vocal production. That's right, nerds. We are back for another reaction video. This time, we are talking about some Lord of the Lost. I've been itching for some new Lord of the Lost, so I'm super excited. It looks like they're gearing up to do another proper release, so I'm very excited about that. This first song that they have released for whatever this batch is called The Future of a Past Life, and it's featuring, what is this guy's name? Marcus Bischoff. So featuring Marcus Bischoff, Lord of the Lost. Let's jump into the things and the segments and the stuff. So the history, I think we've gone over the actual band history because this is not our first Lord of the Lost reaction, but my history with the band, I found these guys, I want to say about 4 or 5 years ago now. It's been a minute. And German industrial goth metal, super awesome. Like, I don't know what else to say. I'm a big fan. They just do great things. The first song that I found of theirs was Lorelei. Kind of a great all-encompassing song for their sound. If you've never listened to them before, I would honestly start with that song and then probably that record, the Dark Throne Star. That's where we go. Thorn Star, I believe, is the name of the record, and it's fantastic. They've put out about 4 or 5 since then. But every other release with this band, they do like a symphonic release, and then they do their goth sound, and then they do a symphonic release, and so it's kind of back and forth. They call the symphonic releases Swan albums, I believe is the term. There's something along those lines. I'm sorry, my terminology is not quite what it should be. So, this is a fantastic band. If you like that industrial sound, if you're a bit into the goth stuff, then this is where it's a good band for you. So let's talk about the expectations for this song and video. It's gonna be gothy. Like, that is, it's kind of the most obvious expectation. I don't know. I've never seen them do a guest spot before. I've never seen them bring in a guest spot. So I'm very intrigued what's going to be there. I would imagine it's going to be a more aggressive vocalist, because the vocalist for the band, I can't remember any band members' names. I apologize. Vocalist for the band, while he does do those aggressive style vocals from time to time, by and large does like his kind of baritone David Gahan kind of thing where he's just doing the gothy singing stuff. So great stuff. I'm not complaining in the least, but I would imagine if they're bringing in a vocalist, it's going to be for some more aggressive, screamy vocals. As far as the video, I don't know. Their videos are kind of all over the place. The last one that I remember seeing, last new video I remember seeing of theirs was they had females standing in for them in the video, so there was a performance video, but instead of it being the members of the band, it was like I would imagine some sort of Instagram models or something. So it was very interesting, but a whole lot of latex. There you go, there's an expectation. Lots of latex. That seems to be a pretty standard thing in a Lord of the Lost video. Lots of latex, lots of black, lots of makeup and things, and I also fully anticipate liking the song, so I think that's a fair bit of expectations. Let's get into the actual reaction. Before we do that, I guess we should touch on the disclaimer real quick, because I don't have a proper cutaway disclaimer video right now. I'm working on it. I've been doing this a long time. I have been in the music industry to some degree for approximately 20 years. I have been a performer. I have written plenty of music. I have produced plenty of music and know what the hell I'm talking about. So in the comment section, keep that in mind. If you disagree with my take on things, if you disagree with what I think they did on production side, we can talk about that. If you're just here to call names, then you're gonna fight a losing battle. If you're here to try and make me feel bad about something or try and get a gotcha over on me, that's also probably not gonna happen. Slim to none, and Slim just left the building. So that's your disclaimer. We're here to have fun, so let's have fun, and let's get into some wonderfully gothy music, shall we? Here we go. Well, that's very interesting. We have our first. This has been a long time since this happened. Actually, I heard something. We'll talk about it. Let's say the thing first. Audio ducking. The last time we did a reaction video where audio ducking was a thing was the Run the Jewels song that people tried to really get me in the comments about. Oh, you heard it, but LP didn't. This is a common thing that happens. It happens to a lot of producers. It's an easy thing to miss, especially when it's in an intro like this. It's probably not been missed. It's probably just been accepted. Like, I am okay with the way this happened. What audio ducking is over compression. You're getting a little too happy with the compressor. So when it's a singular instrument or a single sound that is being produced, because it happens on vocals a lot as well. If it's in this case, it's the synth, I would imagine. If it's a single synth, single guitar, single whatever, by itself, it sounds very loud because it's so compressed. All those quiet pieces sound very loud. But when the rest of the instrumentation kicks in, that instrument then ducks down into, as I hit the microphone, that instrument then ducks down into the mix where it belongs. And it's called audio ducking, because literally when you see the waveform, when this happens, you can see that's literally what it looks like. So we have a little bit of audio ducking here. Now that I've kind of given you an explanation. Also, the thing that I just kind of referenced, I found a remastered version of Slipknot's self-titled record, and there was ducking left and right. It sounds like somebody found like demo versions of those songs and then just threw a crazy amount of compression on them because they couldn't get the stems to the individual tracks. So they just compressed the crap out of it and called it a remastered version, and that's not how that works. So yeah, audio ducking, that synth at the very, very beginning is very loud, and then when the rest of the band kicks in, that synth becomes very quiet. So listen again and you'll hear it. I just dig the shit out of their aesthetic. Like, I think this band just looks cool. And that's not something I necessarily care about, but when you find a band that has a sound that you really dig, as well as a look that you really dig, that's a winner, man.
We called you out against ourselves when we could have stopped the bleeding. Our world is changed. We pray to gods but are forsaken. When will we stop believing? Our minds unchanged.
Yep, there it is. Called it. All right, so let's talk a little bit of vocal production. Generally speaking, I love this mix. This mix sounds great. I think the drums sound spectacular. But we're not talking about drums. We're talking about vocals. I think the vocals, their proper vocalist, again, I can't remember any of the band members' names. I apologize. Somebody's going to remind me in the comments in a not so pleasant way, I'm sure. But they're a regular vocalist because it's a regular part of their mix, so they are well versed in mixing his voice. Sounds fantastic. The other vocalist, maybe this is intentional, maybe they're doing this on purpose because of the section of the song. This is not his verse, right? So he's not the focus vocally speaking at this point. So, but they have him too far down in the mix. This can happen because you're afraid of your gain knob, especially with extreme vocals when you're not exactly used to doing extreme vocals. The gain knob is kind of your enemy in a lot of ways because the human voice is such an interesting instrument. Like you don't want to overgain it because it's really easy for the dynamics to really screw with that. So usually you compress before you send it through the gain feed, which generally speaking, you don't do it that way for a more melodic vocal. You would gain and then compress. So it sounds like they just compressed the crap out of it and then didn't boost it with the gain. It just kept it back in the mix, which again could be intentional for this portion. So let's see what happens.
To fill our craving, we swallow our demons and told to change. But truth be told, we are alone in the misery.
God, listen to this is why it might not be this is why I think it is on purpose rather. If you listen to the instrument mix, like everything is so clear. You have you have two synths. You have the bass synth that's kind of driving everything. It's giving you your structure, your chord structure. Wow, words. Giving you your chord structure, so that bass is kind of telling you where everything should sit. And then the rest of the instrumentation kind of following along. And you have that second synth that's sitting at the top that's doing the I'm probably not going to find the right notes, but yeah, no, not at all. But I would have to sit with this for a little bit before I could find those notes because I'd get so mesmerized by these guys' talent. It's sitting right on top of that mix though, super, super well, where you can hear it, but you really have to listen to it. So it's not muddy, it's just folded in elegantly rather. And you have just everything is sitting right where it should be. I don't know. I might have gone maybe a little bit higher on the gain on the guitars, but that's really being super nitpicky. But then you have that voice because the vocal is in a very similar sonic range as far as like the EQ goes. Human voice sits in a similar sonic range to the guitar because they're you're dealing with similar octaves. Hey, let's do an octave. There we go. So that might be, I think that's why it's on purpose that they're folding him into the vocal or into the mix like that, because he's essentially being an instrument, accenting what the primary vocalist, their real vocalist, is doing. So assuming he gets a verse, hopefully that changes when we get to his verse. Oh, here we go. As soon as I push play, it happens. So cool. All right, let's go back a little bit.
But truth be told,
Okay, so a couple of really interesting notes as far as his vocal goes. Yes, it does sound like they kicked that gain up just a little bit. And okay, sorry, my program was telling me alerts. Anyway, so it sounds like they did kick the gain up a little bit, so he's a little bit more pronounced in the mix. He's moved forward on his verse. But a very interesting thing here, because the more modern take to this style of vocal would be that he does a couple of different takes. So you're sitting with a vocal mix that then the vocal mix, this new camera setup, vocal mix, right? So where we were before was his single vocal. This is the instrumentation mix. Single vocal sitting somewhere towards the top, but not really at the top. And then with his verse, it's still just that single vocal, but it comes out on top and gets a little brighter, gets a little bit more gain, so you can hear what's going on. The modern version of that, because that's kind of what would happen through the 90s into the aughts, and then we started seeing a lot of producers do this, where they would have a vocalist do a number of takes. So you have your instrumentation and your vocals, and all of your vocals are their own mix together. So you have 3 different scream tracks on top of each other, layering that scream. And this scream track very much sounds like a single take, so a single track. They just threw a bit of a chorus and maybe some verb on there to kind of beef it up a little bit. But that's it definitely has an effect on the thickness in the mix of the vocal. You get a much more full sound when you do the modern version instead of just throwing a couple of effects on there. So we're going to go back a little bit so I can illustrate a little bit better what I'm talking about. So they did do the multiple vocals for that accent vocal, because you can hear it pans the stereo. It fills up the stereo, the sonic landscape a little bit better with that ow. If I push the back button, it's going to take us too far back. So let's see if we can do this a little more elegantly. Here. There. So if you listen to that, what that little accent vocal was versus what the primary vocal is that he's recorded, that is a much more full. I mean, it's hard panned, so it should be much more full. It's two different takes, hard panned right and left. Whereas his vocal is very much centered, but I feel like they're doing this style of vocal a little bit of a disservice by not doing the modern version of how you record these kind of vocals. And then they did it again there for the scream at the end of. So I don't know. I mean, it's purely aesthetic as far as like it's very superficial. They did mix what was there well. I just feel like I would have put more vocal in the mix. Like there would have been more vocal tracks on the primary vocal part, if you catch what I'm saying. Okay, so Lord of the Lost, man. That's these guys right here. Let's get back to this screen. We can talk a little bit about our final verdict, our final thoughts, The Last Things. Not my favorite, honestly. Not my favorite Lord of the Lost song. I have a few that rank up there pretty high. This probably wouldn't crack the top 10, but still solid. I still dig it. I think that they're doing their guest vocalist a little bit of a disservice by having recorded him the way that they did. Though what they did record, they mixed well. I just feel like there's a better way to have done it. Would I recommend Lord of the Lost? Yes, I regularly recommend Lord of the Lost to anyone who will listen. If they have a tendency towards the darker things in life, or if they just really like good music, then Lord of the Lost is definitely something that gets recommended early and often. So recommend to you for sure. Check out any of their other material. It is absolutely worth your time. I really dig this band. There will be more reactions on the channel soon, I promise. Also, don't forget to check out the news show that we do every week. It is usually goes up on Wednesdays, and it's all about the pop culture news, movies, TV shows, comic books, video games, all that kind of stuff. That's what we do regularly. These reaction videos are just for fun because I like talking music, probably almost as much. No, music is the thing I nerd out about the most, and then probably video games, and then comic books, and then TV shows, and then movies. Anyway, you don't care. Thank you for joining me, nerds. We will see you in the next one. Before we go, always remember that if it's generally nerdy, it's probably here.